Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram's Immigration News Roundup podcast. Today, we have 4 very interesting stories for you. Our first story covers the real-life American dream success story of entrepreneur Kunihira, from refugee to multi-million-dollar business owner. Our second story covers how the number of border crossings has plummeted, but at what cost. Our third story, and you are not going to want to miss this one, is on changes to the H-1B visa, which so many people depend on as their first visa in their U.S. immigration journey. Our final story is about how farmers are losing millions because their migrant workers have been scared off by the recent ICE rates. So we have a lot of important topics to cover today, so let's dive in. We would like to thank the staff at the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, who have worked very hard in researching and preparing the research for this podcast from a wide variety of news sources from both sides of the aisle so that you get a balanced view. Our coverage is designed to be nonpartisan. Okay, let's unpack this incredible first story that our team has prepared for us, the journey of Kunihira. This is a profound deep dive into what the American dream can truly look like in real life. It's a narrative that really embodies resilience, entrepreneurship, and a powerful commitment to giving back.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. And what's truly captivating here is how her, deeply personal journey intersects with these broader economic and social impacts. This isn't just some feel-good narrative. It's a powerful case study. It really shows resilience and contribution based on the legal research provided by attorney Chris Ingram. It offers really tangible insights into the immense potential that lies within individuals who, against pretty significant odds, are determined to build a new life. And not just for themselves, but creating opportunities for entire communities. Her trajectory, from someone seeking refuge to becoming this significant economic contributor, it really challenges a lot of conventional narratives. And it gives us a deeper understanding, I think, of the immigrant experience in America today.
The entrepreneur's journey from refugee to CEO.
So who is Kunihira exactly? How did her story begin? Our legal team's research paints such a vivid picture of incredible determination, starting from, the most challenging circumstances imaginable. It's a really detailed look at those foundational struggles.
Well, Kunihira's journey began in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a region, unfortunately marked by persistent conflict and violence. She fled these really dire circumstances, arriving here in the United States as a refugee back in 2016. Now, just imagine, if you will, landing in an entirely new country, a new continent even, without a familiar face, without speaking the language, without even knowing the sort of cultural nuances that shape daily life. She settled in Utah, which is obviously very different from her homeland. And immediately she faced these monumental challenges. We're talking profound language barriers, making simple communication incredibly difficult, significant cultural shocks requiring constant adaptation, and just immense financial hardships. Starting quite literally from zero. This context, is absolutely crucial to appreciating the sheer magnitude of her subsequent success. It really underscores the immense personal strength required just to navigate those initial days, let alone to thrive years later. Her initial steps were truly about survival, about adapting to a whole new world.
She truly started with nothing but grit, like you said. The sheer scale of that initial hurdle is just hard for many of us to even grasp. What specific support did she receive in those crucial early days? Our researchers highlighted some key elements.
Indeed. And that support was vital. Her initial steps were supported by community programs and non-governmental organizations, NGOs. A really significant turning point in her journey, according to Chris's research, was winning grants, specifically from organizations like the International Rescue Committee, the IRC, back in 2018. These grants provided that crucial startup funding. Not just a little help, but the foundational capital, the kind of money that allowed her to even conceive of building something bigger. This really demonstrates the vital, often unsung role these NGOs play in empowering refugees, giving them that crucial foothold, transforming what might seem like insurmountable obstacles into manageable challenges, and ultimately into opportunities. Without that initial capital and guidance, the path to entrepreneurship would have been exponentially harder, maybe even impossible. It's just a prime example of how targeted support can unleash incredible potential.
And from there, she didn't just survive, she absolutely thrived. So tell us about the launch of her business, Women Who Succeed.
The timing alone is pretty interesting, right? Given the global climate then. Yeah, the timing is remarkable. In 2021, right amidst the profound disruption of the global pandemic, a period that, as our legal team's research points out, disproportionately affected immigrant communities. Folks who often lacked robust safety nets or access to critical resources. That's when launched Women Who Succeed. And this wasn't just a simple business venture. Initially, it began as both a nonprofit and a consulting firm, operating with a very clear, very purposeful mission: empowering women, particularly those from immigrant and refugee backgrounds, through education, through practical entrepreneurship training, and through dedicated advocacy. This dual structure, combining social impact with professional services, it really highlights her dedication. It wasn't just about achieving personal success, but about proactively uplifting others, creating pathways for others in similar situations. She wasn't just building a company, she was building a community, a support system.
That's so compelling, how she didn't just find her own way, but immediately used her experience to sort of light the path for others. And for you, the listener, just consider the immense courage it takes. Launching a business in any circumstance is hard, let alone as a refugee navigating a new country, a new language, a new culture, all during the peak of a global crisis. It truly is a testament to incredible resilience and vision.
Building a multi-million-dollar enterprise and its ripple effect.
So beyond that initial success, what was the real game changer for women who succeed? What allowed it to scale into, well, a multi-million-dollar enterprise? According to the research compiled by Chris, this wasn't just organic growth, was it? It sounds like there were some very savvy strategic decisions involved.
Oh, definitely strategic. Our attorney's research indicates a significant and very deliberate expansion. The firm strategically grew to include a robust for-profit arm. This arm started generating substantial revenue, primarily through a diverse portfolio of workshops and various products, all designed to equip women with practical skills for business and personal development. This is a really crucial evolution from being purely a grant-funded nonprofit. A key milestone, a real turning point for the business, occurred in early 2025. That's when her firm secured substantial corporate contracts, specifically for diversity training. And these weren't small gigs. These were significant agreements with larger organizations. Securing those directly boosted her annual revenue to over $1 million. So that illustrates a very strategic shift, right? From community-focused workshops to high-value corporate services. It was a move that fundamentally propelled her economic growth and, frankly, cemented her business as a serious player in the consulting space. Just a prime example of identifying a market need and scaling effectively to meet it. And that growth trajectory is what allowed the business to achieve that multi-million-dollar valuation.
Annual revenues over $1 million, that's just an incredible feat, especially considering where she started. And it's clear the impact extends way beyond the financial figures, isn't it? It's also about creating tangible opportunities for others, directly addressing the very challenges she once faced.
Absolutely. The financial success is impressive, no doubt. But the impact extends far beyond the balance sheet. As of June 16, 2025, her company, which is based there in Salt Lake City, employs over 20 people. And what's particularly noteworthy, really significant, is that many of them are refugees themselves, employed directly by her company. This isn't just a statistic, This directly addresses very real labor shortages we see in the economy. And perhaps even more importantly, it provides crucial economic stability within the immigrant and refugee community. It offers pathways to self-sufficiency, to integration. It's just a powerful example of job creation right at the grassroots level, where individuals who might otherwise really struggle to find employment are given not just a job, but a chance to build a career, a chance to contribute meaningfully to society. It's a real cycle of empowerment.
And beyond that local impact in Salt Lake City, it seems her success is actually sparking change on a broader scale. Domestically and even internationally. It sounds like a ripple effect spreading outwards.
Yeah, the ripple effect is quite profound. Our legal team's findings show she expanded her reach significantly, partnering with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, back in 2024, for global outreach initiatives. This collaboration really elevated her profile and amplified her message. A truly pivotal event in her journey was being featured in UNHCR's highly anticipated 2025 Refugee Success Stories, which is, a platform designed to highlight these inspiring journeys. And during that feature, she announced these ambitious initiatives to train 100 women in business skills. That commitment immediately garnered substantial support from local politicians, from various philanthropists. It just shows how individual success can catalyze broader collective action and investment.
And even more recently, I saw in the research from Chris that she's launched a scholarship program, which is a direct investment back into the community she came from, fueled by her own company's success.
That's exactly right. By July 2025, leveraging the profits generated by her successful company, she launched a dedicated scholarship program, specifically for refugee women interested in tech and business fields. This initiative is designed to provide direct financial support, open doors to education, to career development in these high-demand sectors. And what's truly remarkable, really exciting, is that this initiative is already sparking similar programs and discussions in other states. It demonstrates a highly scalable model for empowerment that could be replicated across the country. And this raises, I think, an important question. What kind of transformative impact could widespread investment in these kinds of grassroots-driven, profit-funded programs truly have? On national prosperity, on social cohesion. It moves beyond just theory to tangible, replicable models.
There are just too many visas out there, and I don't know which one is right for us. We need to get the right advice.
Communication is everything, and I just need someone who will listen and guide me to the right visa type, and not make promises that they can't deliver.
There are so many documents. I need someone to walk me through each one. I can't afford to make any mistakes.
If I can just find a lawyer who understands my potential, I know America will be an excellent opportunity for me and my family.
Welcome to the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, and we are your immigration lawyers, and we will be with you every step of the way in your immigration journey.
At the law office of Chris M. Ingram, you get a free consultation so we can understand your needs.
We don't make promises we can't keep. Our success rate speaks for itself.
Join us and access your step-by-step video guides that answer every visa question.
Their platform is amazing. There are videos that instruct you on everything you have to do. It meant we were in control and we could do it in our own time.
They couldn't have been more helpful. They answered every question that I had, and it was easy to see they were the lawyers for me.
I couldn't believe it with my busy schedule. They always had time to talk to me and put me at ease. That's what I like about them.
So go on our website and get your free consultation now, and your new life is about to begin.
Ask me.
We did it! We did it! We did it!
Oh my God, I got my visa! Yes, I did it!
The broader economic power of refugee entrepreneurship.
Okay, so this story isn't just about one extraordinary individual. It reflects a much larger economic phenomenon, doesn't it? Our team's research touches on the incredible, often underestimated contributions of immigrants to the U.S. economy. It feels like a powerful counter-narrative to some common misconceptions out there.
Indeed, it really is. The research from attorney Chris Ingram consistently underscores this compelling fact. Immigrants, across the board, tend to start businesses at higher rates than native-born Americans. And in doing so, they contribute significantly, profoundly to the U.S. economy. It's not just a marginal thing. Specifically, our researchers highlight that refugee entrepreneurs alone generate billions, that's billions with a B of dollars in revenue annually. And this figure is backed up by credible reports from organizations like USA for UNHCR. So this isn't just a feel-good statistic. It directly and powerfully debunks that pervasive myth that refugees are purely a drain on resources. Instead, the data shows they are dynamic economic engines creating jobs, stimulating growth.
So Kunihira's triumph isn't really an anomaly then. It's more like a powerful, tangible example of a broader, beneficial trend that's been happening for a long time. She puts a human face on some very strong data points.
Precisely. Exactly right. Her story serves as compelling, almost irrefutable evidence that investing in refugee integration yields tangible and significant economic returns. And these returns manifest in various ways, right? Through direct job creation, which we saw clearly in her company employing over 20 people, through the taxes paid by successful businesses and their employees, and through innovation. Because new businesses often bring new ideas, new products, new services to the market, her success also highlights how crucial that support from NGOs like the IRC was, and how the welcoming policies of states like Utah, which is notably recognized for its robust refugee integration programs, can truly transform individual lives, and by extension, entire economies. It's a kind of symbiotic relationship where support breeds prosperity.
Taking a step back then, from a macroeconomic perspective, looking at the bigger picture, what does all this mean for the U.S. economy as a whole? How do these individual successes scale up nationally?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, such successes contribute directly and substantially to national GDP growth. This isn't just about local impact, it's about national economic vitality. Furthermore, successful immigrant and refugee entrepreneurs can help offset labor shortages in various sectors across the economy. This is particularly relevant now amid broader discussions on immigration crackdowns and concerns about workforce availability. Their businesses fill critical gaps and drive economic expansion, often in areas where native-born populations might not be as readily available or, frankly, interested. It demonstrates how diverse talent, when given the opportunity, can become a significant engine of economic activity and innovation, ultimately benefiting all Americans.
Navigating policy and diverse perspectives on immigration.
Now, this success story, as inspiring as it is, it unfolds against a very complex, often contentious policy landscape. What does the research by our legal team tell us about the broader context, refugee admissions, for instance, and how that might impact stories like Assange's?
All right, the context is key. The research highlights that Kunihira's story emerges against a backdrop of significantly reduced refugee caps in recent years, and just a general tightening of refugee admissions policies overall. Now, these policy shifts could, in theory, limit the number of individuals who even get the chance to follow a similar path. However, a critical element in Assange's journey, one that our attorneys really emphasize, is her U.S. citizenship, which she obtained in 2023. This citizenship granted her the essential stability and freedom, to expand her business without the constant constraints and uncertainties of visa issues, which could be a major hurdle for many immigrants. So this demonstrates the profound long-term benefits of providing clear, secure pathways to citizenship. It empowers individuals to fully integrate, to fully contribute to the economy without that constant threat of precarious legal status hanging over them. It's a powerful argument for the enabling power of legal security.
That's interesting. And refugee resettlement has historically been, for the most part, a bipartisan effort, hasn't it? With programs like the U.S. Refugee Admissions Program enabling people like Assange to rebuild their lives and thrive. But immigration itself is often such a hot-button issue, deeply polarizing. Our attorneys gathered a range of viewpoints on stories like Assange's, which really highlights the different lenses people use.
It really does, and it raises that important question about how different perspectives interpret such successes. What elements do they choose to emphasize? Assange Kunihira herself, in that USA for UNHCR interview back on June 16, 2025, she articulated her lived experience and perspective with such profound clarity. She stated, and I'm quoting here, "I came here with nothing but determination and the support of kind strangers. America gave me the opportunity to rebuild, and now I give back by lifting other women." Quote. She continued, "In times of uncertainty with borders closing, we must remember refugees bring strength, ideas, and hope. We're not a burden, but builders of a better future." That's her firsthand account, emphasizing contribution and hope.
Powerful words. And how do various political commentators and figures, often speaking from very different ideological viewpoints, weigh in on these kinds of success stories? What does our team's research show us about their interpretations?
Well, our team's research compiled a truly diverse range of viewpoints. It really illustrates the multifaceted nature of this whole debate. For instance, a Trump administration official, commenting in a related context about refugee policies, said their, quote, "focuses on secure, merit-based immigration that benefits America." They added, "Stories of self-reliant refugees align with our vision of attracting contributors who integrate and succeed." End quote. So that perspective clearly emphasizes self-reliance and the direct benefit to the nation. That's the primary criterion. Then you have attorney Chris M. Ingram discussing immigrant entrepreneurship more broadly. He stated, "Refugee entrepreneurs demonstrate the value of inclusive policies that allow talented individuals to contribute economically." End quote. And he adds, "Balancing security with opportunities for integration can strengthen communities and drive innovation without favoring any political side." So his viewpoint seeks more of a balanced approach, right? Highlighting economic value while acknowledging the need for security, trying to stay nonpartisan. Then look at CNN's Fareed Zakaria on his show GPS. He highlighted that amid debates on borders, tales like those of refugee entrepreneurs remind us of immigration's economic upside. He says they drive innovation and growth, urging policies that harness this potential rather than restrict it. So his focus is squarely on that tangible economic potential immigrants bring, advocating for policies to maximize it. On the other hand, you have Fox News' Maria Bartiromo on Mornings with Maria, addressing similar success stories. She said, "These rises exemplify American opportunity, hard work pays off." But she added, "It supports secure borders to ensure such talents enter easily, protecting opportunities for all." So her emphasis is on embodying American opportunity through hard work, yes, but also linking it firmly to legal pathways and secure borders. And finally, MSNBC's Alicia Menendez in a broadcast highlighting refugee impacts. She stressed, "In a climate of restrictions, these stories define narratives of dependency, and that they show what investment in people yields, calling for compassion alongside security." So our focus is really on challenging those dependency narratives, advocating for compassion while still acknowledging security concerns.
Wow, quite a range. What stands out to you about these different statements? For you, the listener, notice how, while the emphasis might differ, security here, compassion there, economic growth over here, there's actually a common thread, acknowledging the significant contributions of successful immigrants. It's not often you find such a broad range of voices recognizing a positive impact, even if they strongly disagree on the surrounding policy.
Yes, exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it really underscores that these refugee success stories, like Kunihira's, they offer a tangible, concrete point of discussion, something that can resonate across the political spectrum. They provide empirical evidence, real-world proof for the economic and societal benefits of integration, which is crucial. These examples can potentially influence those broader debates, on visa programs, on resource allocation for refugee support, on the overall approach to immigration policy. They transform abstract arguments into relatable human and economic narratives. They demonstrate value in a way that, frankly, statistics alone sometimes cannot. It gives policymakers and the public something solid, something real to consider.
Border crossings plummet the cost of control.
Okay, that brings us nicely to our second significant story today, the recent plummet in border crossings. Our legal team's research indicates a pretty dramatic shift here. What are the key findings and what policy changes are being attributed to this decline?
Right, the decline is quite stark. Our attorney's research confirms a substantial decrease in the number of unauthorized border crossings over the past year or so. Specific data points, which our team compiled from U.S. Customs and Border Protection reports, show a reduction of over 50% in certain key sectors compared to peak periods. That's a huge drop. And this decline is largely attributed to a combination of factors. Intensified enforcement measures right at the border, expanded use of expedited removal processes, and new deterrence policies like increased federal prosecution for repeat crossings. Additionally, partnerships with neighboring countries to sort of stem migration flows further upstream have also played a role. Essentially, these strategies aim to make unauthorized entry significantly more difficult and, frankly, less appealing.
A drop over 50%. That is a considerable number. And while that might be framed as a success by some, the title of our story asks, at what cost? What does our research reveal about the economic and the humanitarian costs associated with this plummeting number?
Well, the costs are definitely multifaceted, as our team found.
USCIS is cracking down on visa fraud, and even approved cases are being revoked.
Why was my visa denied? USCIS revoked my approval. At the law offices of Chris M. Ingram, we handle every detail with care. Every form, every fact, every time.
So join us for a free consultation. We do things the right way. Let us take care of you.
From an economic perspective, the increased enforcement has come with a substantial financial outlay, a big price tag. We're talking billions of dollars allocated to expand Border Patrol, deploy new surveillance technologies, and construct or maintain physical barriers. This represents a significant investment of taxpayer money that, could otherwise be directed to other national priorities. Then, on the humanitarian side, the costs are profound. Really concerning. The tightening of the border has led to increased risks for those individuals still attempting to cross, often forcing them onto more dangerous routes, into more remote areas, and sometimes right into the hands of ruthless smugglers. This has resulted, tragically, in an increase in deaths and serious injuries during these journeys. Moreover, the capacity for processing asylum seekers properly has been severely strained. This leads to prolonged detentions, sometimes in difficult conditions, and, in some cases, the inability for genuinely vulnerable individuals to access the legal protections they're entitled to under both international and U.S. law. Families can be separated, individuals are left in these precarious situations, often without adequate due process.
Beyond those immediate economic and humanitarian impacts, what are the broader societal implications? When you see such a significant reduction in border crossings like this, how do different perspectives interpret this trend?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the societal implications vary widely. depending heavily on one's perspective. Proponents of strict enforcement often highlight things like enhanced national security, a perceived reduction in illicit activities crossing the border, and a reassertion of sovereign control over national borders. They might argue that the costs, both financial and human, are a necessary investment in national safety and maintaining order. However, other viewpoints, particularly coming from human rights organizations and, interestingly, certain economic sectors, raise serious concerns. They point to the potential for a diminished workforce in industries that have historically relied heavily on immigrant labor, think as agriculture, construction, hospitality. We'll touch more on agriculture later. There are also arguments about the U.S. image on the global stage. Some see these policies as less welcoming to those fleeing persecution, which kind of challenges historical American values of openness and being a place of refuge. This dichotomy, this clash of views, really illustrates a deep division in how the nation balances security concerns with economic needs and fundamental humanitarian principles.
So, for you, the listener, understanding this trend really requires looking beyond just the simple numbers. It prompts us to consider the full spectrum of consequences, intended and unintended, that arise from these complex policy decisions. It's all about balancing national interests with very real human impacts.
H-1B visa changes navigating a crucial pathway.
All right, let's shift our focus now to an area that impacts so many skilled professionals and indeed many U.S. industries, the changes to the H-1B visa. This is a topic, as we said in the intro, that affects countless individuals embarking on their U.S. immigration journey. First off, maybe just remind us briefly, what is the H-1B visa, and what have our researchers at Chris Ingram's office discovered about the recent changes?
Sure. The H-1B visa is a non-immigrant visa. It allows U.S. employers to temporarily employ foreign workers in what are called specialty occupations. These occupations typically require, at minimum, a bachelor's degree or its equivalent in a specific field. Think technology, engineering, medicine, science, finance fields needing specialized knowledge. It's a really crucial pathway for many international graduates from U.S. universities and also for experienced professionals from abroad who wish to work in the U.S. Now, our team's research indicates that recent changes have aimed primarily to refine the H-1B lottery system and, theoretically, enhance its integrity. For instance, new regulations, effective as of the most recent lottery cycles, have shifted the selection process. It used to be based on the number of registrations filed. Now it's based on the unique beneficiary. So this means if one individual has multiple employers file registrations for them, they still only count as one unique person in the lottery selection. The idea here is to reduce the incentive for, well, potential gaming of the system and increase fairness for all applicants. There have also been ongoing discussions and some preliminary adjustments related to the wage level requirements for H-1B positions. The stated intent there is to prioritize higher skilled and higher paid positions, ensuring the visa is used for truly specialized talent.
Okay, so the stated goal is making the lottery fair and perhaps prioritizing higher skilled, higher paid workers. How are these changes actually impacting the individuals who rely on the H-1B visa? And what effect are they having on the U.S. industries that depend on this talent pipeline?
Well, the impact is pretty significant for both sides. For individuals, especially those international students graduating from U.S. universities hoping to stay and work, the uncertainty surrounding the H-1B lottery remains a major source of stress and anxiety. Even with the new beneficiary-centric system, the demand for H-1B visas still vastly outstrips the annual supply, the cap set by Congress. This means many highly qualified graduates face the very real prospect of having to leave the U.S. if they don't win the lottery, even if they have a job offer. This creates what many call a brain drain, right? Talented individuals who were educated and trained right here in the U.S. are forced to take their skills, their innovations elsewhere. For U.S. employers, particularly in sectors like tech, healthcare, research, engineering, these changes present ongoing challenges in talent acquisition. Our team's findings, based on Chris's legal research, indicate that companies report difficulties in filling critical roles that require specialized skills. This can lead to potential delays in projects and innovation and ultimately in economic growth. While some argue these changes protect American jobs, and that's a viewpoint we need to acknowledge, many industry leaders contend that limiting access to global talent can actually diminish U.S. competitiveness on the global stage. It might push research and development, and potentially job creation itself, to other countries that are more welcoming to this talent.
That paints a picture of really complex trade-offs, doesn't it? What are the broader economic and competitive implications of these H-1B changes, and how do different viewpoints articulate these impacts?
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture again, the H-1B program isn't just about individual careers or filling specific jobs. It's really about national economic vitality and maintaining global competitiveness. Different viewpoints highlight these contrasting implications very clearly. Those who support stricter H-1B regulations often argue that prioritizing U.S. workers is paramount. They believe we need to ensure that jobs are filled by the domestic workforce first and prevent potential wage depression for American workers in these fields. They might emphasize a higher American first approach. Conversely, many in the business community and many economic policy analysts argue that restricting H-1B visas actually hinders innovation, particularly in cutting-edge sectors like artificial intelligence, biotechnology, advanced manufacturing areas where specialized global talent is often scarce domestically. They contend that H-1B workers frequently create new jobs through their contributions, through starting companies, through driving innovation, rather than simply replacing existing American workers. Our legal research indicates that companies utilizing H-1B visas often tend to innovate more and grow faster. So this debate really comes down to balancing the interests of the domestic workforce with the perceived need for specialized global skills to maintain America's leadership position in critical technological and scientific fields.
So what does this mean for the future of talent in the U.S.? For both employers trying to hire and aspiring immigrants hoping to contribute as these policies continue to evolve?
Well, for you, the listener, understanding these dynamics is really crucial. It highlights how immigration policies, specifically something like the H-1B visa program, directly shakes the future landscape of innovation, of economic growth, and that global flow of talent. It prompts us to consider how we, as a country, can best attract and retain the brightest minds to ensure continued prosperity and leadership in key industries, while also, of course, addressing legitimate concerns about the domestic workforce and ensuring fair opportunities for everyone. The ongoing evolution of these rules just underscores the need for a balanced, maybe more strategic approach, one that supports both U.S. economic interests and the aspirations of highly skilled individuals seeking to contribute their talents here.
Farmers losing millions. The impact of IC raids.
Okay, moving on to our final and equally critical story for today. Our team has unearthed some compelling research on how farmers are reportedly losing millions of dollars due to recent immigration and customs enforcement ICE raids. These raids have apparently scared off their migrant workers, creating a really challenging dilemma for a vital sector of our economy. What exactly has our research revealed about these raids and their direct impact on the agricultural industry?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Our attorney's research paints a pretty stark picture of the perhaps unintended consequences of intensified ICE enforcement, particularly in agricultural communities. These raids, which often target undocumented workers essential to the farm labor force, have created an environment of widespread fear among migrant laborers. This fear, according to reports gathered by our team, is so pervasive that it has led many workers to either flee the areas where raids have occurred or are rumored to occur, or simply to become unwilling to report for work out of concern for their safety, their families, and their legal status. The direct result of this sudden labor shortage is devastating for farmers, absolutely devastating. Our researchers have found numerous reports from agricultural associations across different states detailing millions of dollars in losses. Why? Because crops are being left unharvested. For instance, in specific regions known for produce, highly perishable crops like fruits and vegetables have literally rotted in the fields because there simply weren't enough workers available to pick them during that critical, very short harvest window.
Feeling lost in a maze of visa types and paperwork? Don't know where to turn? We've got your back. With clear answers and real help, we'll guide you every step of the way. Let's navigate it together. Your journey starts today.
Hello, you must be Clara. Welcome to the law office of Chris M. Ingram.
Finally, I found a law firm that will help me achieve my American dream.
At this law firm, you are important to us. That's why we will be with you every step of the way. So join us at the office of Chris M. Ingram.
And this isn't just a loss for individual farmers, though it's catastrophic for them. It creates significant disruptions all the way down the supply chain. And it can ultimately lead to increased food prices for consumers at the grocery store.
Wow, the economic impact sounds severe. Beyond the financial losses for farmers, what about the human element? How are these raids impacting the migrant worker communities themselves? And what sort of ripple effects are being felt in the local economies where these farms are located?
The human cost, as our legal team documented through various accounts, is immense and deeply troubling. Migrant worker communities, many whom are already living in vulnerable conditions, are now living in constant fear, uncertainty. Families are being torn apart. You have breadwinners detained or deported, leaving spouses and children who might be U.S. citizens in dire straits, often with no means of support. Access to essential services, Things like healthcare, education for the kids, even basic community resources becomes precarious. People become afraid to seek help, afraid to go to the doctor, afraid to enroll their kids in school for fear of detection by authorities. This creates a real chilling effect that extends far beyond the agricultural fields. It impacts the entire social fabric of these rural communities. And locally, the economic fallout isn't limited just to the farmers. Businesses that cater to migrant workers, think small grocery stores, laundromats, local shops, they experience a sharp decline in revenue when the workforce disappears or goes into hiding. Tax bases in these areas can shrink. Local schools see a drop in enrollment as families are forced to disperse or leave altogether. It creates this damaging cycle of instability and economic contraction in regions that are often heavily reliant on this specific labor force.
This situation seems to highlight a significant conflict, doesn't it, between immigration enforcement objectives and basic economic reality on the ground. What are the competing interests at play here, and how do different perspectives approach this very complex policy debate?
Yeah, this issue truly exposes a profound paradox in current immigration policy, as our research really indicates. On one side, you have the perspective that emphasizes the rule of law and national sovereignty. This view argues that immigration laws, regardless of economic impact, must be enforced, and unauthorized entry must be deterred. From this viewpoint, ICE raids are seen as a necessary tool to maintain border security and discourage illegal immigration, even if there are downstream economic consequences. The argument here is often that the economic pain is a symptom of a broken system that requires comprehensive legislative reform, not a reason to halt necessary enforcement actions. On the other side, you have agricultural industry leaders, economists, farm bureaus, and human rights advocates presenting a very different picture. They emphasize the absolutely critical role migrant labor has played for decades in feeding the nation and sustaining a multi-billion-dollar agricultural industry. They argue that current enforcement tactics, particularly widespread raids, are economically devastating. They undermine the very foundation of the agricultural sector without offering any viable alternative labor source at the scale needed. Their perspective often calls for more pragmatic immigration solutions. Things like expanding existing guest worker programs or creating pathways to legal status for the experienced agricultural workers already here to stabilize the workforce and ensure food security for the country. It's a classic example of stated enforcement goals clashing directly with on-the-ground economic realities.
So this isn't just a localized problem affecting a few farmers, it's a much larger challenge. It really speaks to the urgent need for a comprehensive, maybe more nuanced approach to agricultural labor policy and immigration reform overall. And for you, the listener, it just underscores how federal policies, often decided far away in Washington, can have incredibly direct and sometimes unforeseen consequences on local economies, on food prices, and on the lives of ordinary people across the country.
So what for you, the learner?
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today. Dasanj Kunihira's incredible journey, the drop in border crossings and its costs, the complexities of H-1B visas, the struggles of farmers. What does this all mean for you, our curious listener? Why should you care about these specific stories? What are the practical takeaways or maybe the broader implications for how you understand the world around you?
Well, first, I think Dasanj Kunihira's story offers immense personal inspiration. It's truly remarkable. It's not just a feel-good narrative. It's a powerful testament to incredible perseverance despite seemingly insurmountable obstacles. I mean, just think about it. Fleeing violence, navigating a completely new country, overcoming language and cultural barriers. And then from that starting point, building a multi-million-dollar business essentially from the ground up. Her story profoundly illustrates the power of the human spirit, that unwavering determination, and an indomitable will to succeed against all odds. It kind of encourages us, I think, to look at our own challenges and maybe draw strength from such examples of resilience. Second, and maybe more pragmatically for you, the learner, this deep dive provides concrete, compelling examples of the often overlooked, sometimes understated economic value that immigrants and refugees consistently bring to the United States. We've seen how entrepreneurs like Dasanj create jobs and contribute significantly to GDP. We've discussed how skilled workers on visas like the H-1B fill critical industry gaps and drive innovation. And we've touched on how agricultural labor, much of it performed by immigrants, underpins our entire food supply system. This isn't abstract economic theory. This is real data, real examples for informed debate, not just heated rhetoric. It demonstrates pretty unequivocally that investing in integration programs, providing clear pathways for talented individuals, can yield significant economic returns, directly contributing to GDP, creating vital jobs in our communities. This knowledge equips you, hopefully, to engage in more nuanced and factual discussions about immigration's true economic impact. Third, this deep dive really highlights the profound value of diverse perspectives and experiences within a community, how they can truly enrich and empower. Dessa's company's success or broader philanthropic efforts, they highlight how increased diversity enriches communities in very tangible ways. It fosters empowerment, not just for those she directly employs, but for the wider community by showing what's possible. Her firm's decision to donate to local causes, to invest in scholarship programs, further demonstrates this positive cycle of giving back that strengthens the social fabric. This directly challenges those prevailing, often negative narratives of dependency that are sometimes associated with refugees and immigrants. Instead, it showcases what proactive, strategic investment in people can truly yield for society as a whole. It's about recognizing those multifaceted contributions beyond just the economic figures. And finally, I think these discussions today really underscore the intricate interplay between immigration policy and various sectors of our economy and society, whether it's the national impact of border security decisions, the global competitiveness tied to visa programs for skilled workers, or the direct challenges facing our agricultural sector. Immigration policy isn't some standalone issue operating in a vacuum. It's deeply woven into the fabric of our economic prosperity, our social cohesion, and even our national identity. Understanding these complex connections allows you, the listener, to appreciate the nuances and hopefully contribute to more informed discussions about the pathways forward. Provocative closing thought. So given all these ongoing, often quite heated discussions around immigration and economic contribution, the stories we've explored today really invite us to consider a profound question, I think. If one person, like Quinehira, starting with virtually nothing but determination and the support of critical early programs, can build a multi-million-dollar business that employs dozens and invests in future generations. If our leading industries rely so heavily on global talent to innovate and stay competitive, and if a very food supply depends significantly on a workforce often caught in these difficult policy crossfires, then what kind of comprehensive forward-looking policies, what kind of investment, and what level of societal support could best harness the collective strength of all individuals, regardless of their origin, for national prosperity and for building a more vibrant, inclusive future? How do we effectively balance security needs, compassionate values, and economic imperatives to create a system that truly works, not just for some, but for everyone? It's a big question to ponder.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you gained a lot from this discussion. Please leave us a comment if you can. Additionally, you can support our channel by sharing it with your friends and family, helping us build this community together. Also, follow us on Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram, where we're growing rapidly thanks to our social media team. We would also like to thank attorney Chris Ingram and his dedicated team once again for researching and preparing this research for our presentation. If you, a friend, or a family member would like a free consultation, you can visit our website at www.breakthroughusa.com and schedule an appointment. We'd love to hear from you and help you if we can. See you next time on Let's Talk U.S. Immigration. Bye for now.